Now I just have a short, easy walk of 8 kilometers left to get home after a trip to Bergen today. So now we're gonna walk home the last bit since there's no bus all the way so late. And we're gonna talk about zombies. Because I am on a zombie roll in my videos right now. Already made a few zombie videos. Today, I'm gonna flesh out the concept that I introduced yesterday, which is the conceptualization of age of consent as an assignment of philosophical zombiehood to a group of people. That's what the age of consent does. And that's all it does. Certainly for the older age groups that are factually mature, all it does is to assign philosophical zombiehood to youth. From roughly 13 to 18, depending on jurisdiction, and always according to this ideology of feminism that the normies purport to believe in. Those youth are philosophical zombies. That's what they are. They are zombies. So I want you to think of it that way. That could help. I think it could help. It can help because it's a philosophical way to mock them, right? And if you believe in the zombie explanation, then you certainly don't believe in the normie justification, right? It's like the most hardcore way to mock feminism. And it's a sort of philosophical way that don't immediately get you into trouble. Maybe eventually they'll censor this video, but I don't think it's gonna happen like immediately, because it's not, well, the algorithms haven't picked up on philosophical zombie as a prohibited word yet. Because as far as I know, I'm the first activist to conceptualize age of consent that way. So yeah, philosophical zombies. Let's recount the definition of a philosophical zombie. A philosophical zombie would be, for example, me with everything you see right now, and all my behaviors and speech and neurons too, but no consciousness. That would be a philosophical zombie. Now, the philosophical zombie of age of consent regards sexuality. That concerns sexual decisions. Right? Those are supposed to be zombified by this law, or the law is supposed to. I guess the normies, they sometimes even think that the law actually describes a reality of zombiehood. So if you buy into that law, you'd have to think that at some point I was a zombie myself. So thinking back to when I was 15 years old and younger, I would have been a sexual zombie. And I know that's complete bullshit, but that is what you have to believe if you're gonna be an normie under feminism. You believe in philosophical zombies. Now, it's dubious that philosophical zombies can exist. That's not with our brains, at least. You could simulate them in all the behavior. You could simulate in a different way and maybe get a philosophical zombie that way. I don't know if they would be the same concept as a philosophical zombie. Or they'd just be zombies. But that's, we don't have to settle that. We just have to know that the concept in sex law, the philosophical zombies found in sex law, well, use your own intellectual capacity to decide if you want to believe in that, right? I know what I believe, and if you're watching this, you probably either you agree with me or you're one of those feminists who just want to shut us down, right? But even if you are in that group, you probably realize deep down that there's something wrong with your philosophy. So yeah, philosophical zombies. That is the new conceptualization of Age of Consent. You are philosophical zombies. They're just like adults except zombies. Oh, and the normies, when they want to believe this, they inject this myth about the brain, the supposed undeveloped, retarded teenage brain, which is nonsense that has been debunked now, even in the mainstream recently. I've made videos on this, how that idea is on its way out. But if you ask a random normie, they still believe in it. And that's how you got this Age of Consent to assume this moral dimension. Because it used to be, when I was young, we didn't have this. We didn't have this myth. We realized that Age of Consent was just a way to manage sexuality. And we didn't have this fiction attached to it. So we didn't see it in moral terms. We knew it was just tyrannical power wielding from the states. But then this brain myth came about in the 1990s. It's only as old as fMRI technology. And then the normies picked up that myth and they used it to rationalize the Age of Consent. So then it took on this moral dimension that you're supposed to doing with an actual abuse if you break the Age of Consent. And supposedly this is because of this immaturity, retardation, and young brains that we know now to be bullshit, just like I knew in my youth. You knew all along. So this myth, I heard it being repeated, but it never affected me. Even when I didn't have the science to debunk it, which we do have now, we know how it was all nonsense all along. Even then, it never did affect me. So that's a happy accident of being born a little bit before these normies who grew up with that myth, who were indoctrinated and started to believe it. That didn't happen to me. And I reckon a lot of people my age even have absorbed it and now walk around believing this shit. It's so funny when you, and particularly the younger generations, of course, who have been told this their whole lives. They've been told they're retarded until they're 25. Their brains can't make proper decisions. It's you have this fictional brain that's supposed to replace the person, so that the person's thoughts and decisions are invalid, because the real a hypothetical person who could have made correct decisions would have to have a 25-year-old brain. So anybody under 25, they're metaphysically invalidated. Their decisions are necessarily just to be dismissed by this prejudice, because what counts is something that can't exist, because that can only exist after you're 25. So then maybe you can be in command of your that's not really quite how to explain it, because you are appealing to something that can't exist. So you're just basically invalidating their personhood after 25. You're saying nobody is a person before they're 25. They belong to this nebulous paternalistic sort of regime, what are you going to call it, where they can't make their own decisions. They're just wards of the state, right? And then you let them make some decisions anyway, at least from when they're 18, right? But that's not believed to be the right decisions. They're always believed to be inferior. So even if it were true that the brain could improve until it's 25, like you had a significantly higher IQ then, which is wrong. It doesn't do that. The last significant step is puberty. But let's say it did. Even if that were true, you can't just dismiss a person for so long based on a fiction that should have existed, or you think ought to have existed. There's so much wrong with that idea. It should never have become established as this wisdom that the normies believe in. And if they would only think it through, that there's something wrong with it on mere philosophical grounds. Right? It's bad philosophy. It's a view of persons that does not grant personhood to humans when they are in their prime. It's a very chauvinistic type of like something older people would come up with. The elders have decided they make the correct decisions, and people are stupid, and we're going to define young people as incapable of making decisions or handling themselves or existing as a person. Because this gets to what a person is. A person is a being who can be held morally responsible. Morally responsible if you commit crime, or if you consent, and so on. You are responsible for that. That's what it means to be a person. So with this brain myth, this teenage brain nonsense, you invalidate personhood up to the age of 25. You just declare those humans to not be persons. That is an evil ideology. The same type of thinking that we have correctly gotten rid of with regard to race and sex. Right? We can't say these days that some races are inferior because they can't, by definition, they can't think properly. So they can't be fully responsible. They must be subjugated somehow. And same for women, right? We don't say that anymore. You can't use a supposed fact that is supposed to override the person to take away rights from and responsibilities from the person. And that's what we still do, or we started doing to youth. And it's held up by this brain myth that the normies still believe in. So when you believe in this myth, you believe that a large group of people are zombies. Because zombie, philosophical zombie, is what we're getting at with all this. That's what we're getting at. If you believe that this person's brain is incapable of controlling the person, and the person isn't integrated with a functional brain that makes him fully a person, then you believe the person is a zombie. That's what it amounts to. Whether you believe it or not, because it's a matter of fact, there's nothing inferior about the young brain. In fact, it's very superior. So, if anyone should be considered retarded, it would be older people like me who have a declining brain. But no, the normie narrative always ascribes this inferiority to you. That's the ulterior mechanism, right, for wielding the power that they want to wield, for persecuting sexuality, right? So it does that job very, very well. It serves to shut down all opposition, except what little you're looking at right now. The normies just don't oppose it. They go along with it, and they sometimes very forcefully defend it. I've had so many debates with true believers in the retardation of teens, right? And so they support violence against this fake abuse. That's how, unfortunately, the normies are. And that's why I have consecrated my life to activism against that. It's my calling. I am a sexualist. That's why I make videos like this.